So Ravindra, to start off, can you please, give our audience a brief, introduction of yourself and like what you have done and everything?
Yeah, so I'm basically a civil engineer. So I did my graduation, and there were not many jobs. So I picked up a teacher's job. So I was a lecturer in an engineering college, and after a few years, I realized that this is kind of not something which I want to do lifelong. So I was preparing for some competitive exams and all those things, and uh, I actually even went to UPSC interview, but somehow it didn't materialize. And but what happened? I got a very good score for GATE examination, so I could join IIT Bombay for my post graduation. So I did my civil engineering post graduation, and that's where actually somewhere I developed interest for computers. And when I finished my post graduation, I was picked up by Department of Space, Government of India. So that's how I became so-called space scientist, and it was fun. 5 years of research, and I worked with lots of satellite-related works of Indian Department of Space. But eventually, the IT sector was booming, and as I said, I was developing some interest in software, and that's what I did in Department of Space. Along with research, I did programming and all that. So I moved to private sector, and since then I've been into private sector now and worked in different companies, worked on different projects, but primarily all of them are product oriented, research oriented. So that has become my brand right from my Department of Space job. And even today I work. Actually, I went back to individual contributor role after my 20 years of management job, because somewhere I realized that that's something now I'm not enjoying so much. I still like my mind to work on technical problems and not the hiring and firing business. So but then, certain part of your career you need to be in management to make money, because no give you good designations, good money, unless you are in management. So I did all that as long as it was required. But as soon as I felt that I have fair financial independence, I decided to leave management job. And today I work as again back. I'm software scientist in a digital marketing company of USA. And somewhere in my senior management job, I realized that senior management is typically stressed because of lot of work, lot of pressure from both, from management, top management, and then from the staff. You always have some issues with the staff. They are not productive. So you have pressure from both ends, and yes, I mean it's pretty stressful for those roles, and that's where even I went through that. So that's where I came up with. I was studying actually lots of time management systems that are available in the market, and after working through some of them, finally I hit the right one, which actually makes a lot of sense. I always call it a nirvana of time management, because there are a lot of ideas, but then they are somewhere in the evolutionary stage, I feel. And then there is something which is ultimate. That's the reason why I call that system as ultimate, that methodology. So we'll leave that topic right now. But yeah, so that really worked for me tremendous. I mean, from my stressful life, I really got back to my, again, full of vigor, interest, everything I was enjoying. And yeah, actually, I did my even MBA those days, and also got my promotion. So everything was, everything became possible suddenly. So, I give a lot of credit to my time management system that I did, and eventually I decided that why not I coach people on this. So that became my passion. So it's always great to have that efficiency coming out of the same system, but now he's producing more. It's always fun to see. So that's what I enjoy out of my coaching. So that's my little long, I think, story so far.
So I just want to, talk about this, so like the digital distractions about these stuff. Like we're living in an age where we're constantly being bombarded with information. like some good, most are bad. Like, see, it's like we are cluttering our minds so much that we're not able to focus. Like, what do you think is the solution to that? Like, I mean, how do you personal manage your focus and your, like your overall mindfulness?
Right. So let me say first thing, which very recently I read an article in the New Yorker that was exactly on this, and that gave a slightly different perspective, which I enjoyed. So what and people have voiced this kind of opinion many times because social media or Netflix, whatever we call today's distractions, they are new. But that doesn't mean there were no distractions in the past. There were always some distractions, some kind of distraction. So ultimately, it's matter of whatever is your current, I mean, of our age, the distractions of our age, how much they uh, actually distract us. So uh, there is another idea about primitive mind versus uh, high rung mindset. So basically, uh, when we are getting distracted, we are succumbing to the pressure of our own uh, primitive mind. So again, I don't go into a lot of details. I'm reading one interesting book on this also. That is what is our problem. So in that book, Tim Urban, the author, says the same thing that we have this, and of course, it's not something new, but he takes that as a start point and goes into his topic. But the point is, you have two minds. I mean, as a human, we have two minds. One is primitive mind, and one is high run mind. We can think lots of interesting ideas, lots of thoughts, which normal animals, other animals cannot do it. But unfortunately or fortunately, we have that primitive brain also still residing in us, which somehow looks like we don't need it that much, which we needed earlier when we were also behaved like animals. So anyway, the point is, whenever we talk of procrastination, whenever we talk of distraction, we are talking of that we are succumbing to that primitive mind. So this perspective itself should help. Okay, when something is happening, some distraction is coming, some procrastination I see in my behavior, think of this, that oh, I'm succumbing to my primitive mind. Where is my high rung mind? Let's invoke that. So anyway, this is one perspective. The second thing which I always advise, I have written a blog post on that, which was published by Clockify Software's blog post, where my point of view is that one easier way to solve this is you should have very good candidates to those distractions. See, not having alternatives, then you have no choice. I mean, if you have three things in your list, one is Netflix, other is social media, and there is third something which is your dream, something which is your goal, something which you want to do, and it is doable as well. If you have that list in front of you, probably there is chance that you will pick up the third one and not the first two. So my point is
Yeah.
create those alternatives. Again, not having some hi-fi goal in mind is not enough. I'm saying something doable, something which says that go to Wikipedia, research this field, come up with all ideas, make a plan, something like that. Yes, good, you can do it. So if that kind of task is there in your list, then yeah, there is a high chance that you may not get into distraction in your work. So keep creating those kind of lists with you, so that more often probably you will do them.
All right, all right, all right. So I just want to also ask you about this. So there are a lot of talented people, people with like a lot of talent. I mean, really, really a lot of talent, but they have this thing with starting or the patience to continue in everything. Like I don't know if it's the lack of self belief in them or the confidence or whatever, but they don't have this motivation or determination to start or the courage to continue. What do you think like contributes to that fear or like the what do you call the procrastination, whatever you call it? They're not able
Yeah.
to start because I feel for them because like I've seen really really talented people, my friends. They could have written a whole book or directed a whole movie or written a script for the whole movie, but they couldn't start. They have this thing in their mind that's that keeping them down. What do you think is the solution to that? I know it could you couldn't give one line solution, but like I'm just asking overall, what's the thing contributing to that fear?
Right, right. So I did good amount of research on this topic, and I keep saying this line. So I have a blog post on that. But yes, I mean I did put a lot of research, and interestingly, I mentioned about the author Tim Urban. So his favorite topic is procrastination. So and somehow my opinion is slightly different from him. So I think there is a way to solve this. What Tim Urban ultimately says is you have primitive mind, probably you will always have this procrastination biting you. So I agree. Yes, it's not. I'm not saying that you will be totally free, but there is a way to conquer that. But then what I realized was same solution doesn't work for everybody. That's what somewhere I realized. So I went deeper, and then I came up with 6 procrastination personas. I'll not talk a lot about it here. We can always share the link to the readers. But if you identify which of these persona you are, then I have particulars. Basically I start with criteria uh, why you should think that you are this persona, and if you fall into that persona, then there is a solution specific to that. So largely what I feel is people do not start with any particular big task, is that they don't have enough clarity. And when they don't have clarity, they have that scare about, oh, how am I going to do this? Is too big. Unfortunately, things are never that big, uh, the amount that someone thinks. And the only way to reduce its size, the only way to reduce that overwhelm is sit down and try to get clarity. And there are ways to do it. We'll speak maybe in our discussion. But once you are clear about the number of steps, the kind of steps that you should take to get to your goal, will suddenly change everything. Now you are motivated to do it. So yeah, I mean our primitive mind has that fear that, oh, I'm going to get caught into something very big which I will never be able to come out or something, and then we don't want to do it. So yeah, I think there are multiple solutions on multiple issues, but I think primary problem that I noticed is that people do not try to obtain the clarity. That's why those tasks, your dreams, visions, they just keep lying somewhere in the notebooks and or in your mind, and they never progress because we never decided, we never thought enough uh, to get a plan. How do I make progress on it? Never ask this question. We kind of try to jump into, okay, directly I want to be that. But yeah, you have to take some steps, and once you obtain that clarity, things should get easy.
So, what do you think about imposter syndrome? Like imposter syndrome is something that all of us struggle with, even the most highly highly successful ones. It instills in us that fear, right? Like that we're not good enough, that we can't achieve this, that you're not fit, you're like you're fooling around, you're not talented, those things. And I think it really has a toll on even the most talented people. How do you think we can overcome that? How do you think we can go about it? Because let me say something. Like when I write a blog post, like I get into this writer's block, and unlike others, it goes on for months for me. I couldn't even, like, it'll be 4 months, and I wouldn't have written nothing, even a single line. So this is something that I struggle with the most. I just take this opportunity to ask you, like, how do you like overcome that, and like what can we do about it?
So yeah, I mean this happens with many people, and yeah, it happens with me also. And I keep talking to my children, so yeah, they also go through this all the time. So yes, it's pretty common. uh, the way I defend it, I think probably that I can say, one is that see, this imposter syndrome happens when we compare with people. I think that's what I understand. Because when you
Hmm.
look around, people around you, and then you see that, oh, I mean, this guy is able to do so much, and probably why I'm not able to do it. Maybe, yeah, I think I'm lacking something. Probably I'm not in the right lane or something. All kinds of things start popping up in your head. So but it's very interesting because the person who today is successful, interestingly, he had imposter syndrome few years back. So everyone has to go through that cycle. So there is, I think, there is a very interesting book by Seth Godin, I think,
Hmm.
Dip. The name of the book is Dip. So it
Hmm.
talks about that. So
Hmm.
uh, not precisely the imposter syndrome, but the idea of just you have to keep continuing doing it. So you will find that success somewhere there around the corner. And most of the time when it is just around the corner, people just give up. So yeah, idea is not to give up. And another interesting thing that I found useful is that keep in mind always that uh, take anything, let's say software programmer. There is nothing like just to a binary, like it's a good programmer, bad programmer. Oh, he's a good programmer, I am a bad programmer. So that doesn't make sense, and it's never so. So when you say programmer, it's a continuum. So there is a best
Hmm.
programmer, the next best, next best, next best. So now when it is continuum, you are somewhere on the continuum, not this extreme end. Maybe somewhere somebody is just ahead
Hmm.
of you, that's okay. But it's a whole thing is a continuum. So you might be falling somewhere else. So that should make you feel better. That whole world is about people having a different levels of capabilities. So I'm one of them. So I think that should make someone feel better and keep that spirit to continue on that path uh, where success lies.
Hmm. Okay. So I just want to talk about, ask you about this thing. Like, see, people say that, you have to hustle hard in your 20s and your 30s so you can live the rest of your life, like with the leash, with ease, and you can be, like chill out, those things. And also, there's also another debate that, if you spend your 20s working, like what's the point in living luxurious life or a happy life after 40? So there's this two contradicting ideas. What do you think youths should do? Because like we're really confused and we don't know how to go about it.
Yeah. So one thing is very clear. I mean, I realized this many years back that one should be really enjoying the journey and not the goals, not the destination. So the journey itself has to
Hmm.
become your destination. So you're not holding your breath. Once I achieve this, then I'll do this. So the life is never like that simple. So first thing is you should really live your life along the journey. So the journey itself should be your destination. Like you want to be something,
Hmm.
you are struggling with issues, problems that are stopping you to reach your goal. Now you're finding coming up with a solution. You should enjoy those things. It's not that, oh, once I reach that goal, then it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's never that. Many times people feel just hollow after reaching their okay, now what do I do? So yeah, so never hold your breath to reach something and then I'm going to enjoy. So keep enjoying your life. And other thing is the hustle never goes away. That's another point of view that I have. I mean, even today I work for like 16 hours easily. So uh, you know that Maslow's pyramid. So once you achieve something, then you go to next level. Then you achieve something, you go to next level. So there is
Hmm.
always the level where you will be operating, and then you have some hustle going on. So you are working basically. I don't want to give any connotation to hustle word here, but I'm saying you will be busy. You will like to be busy. You will always have something to do. As you, even if you achieve something, you will have next goal, next goal. So yeah, I mean that goes on. So that's my answer.
So burnout has become, normalized in our society these days, to the point of exhaustion. It's what burnout is, it right? Working so hard. Like, how do you think one can recognize the early signs of burnout, and what steps can they take to balance that work life this thing?
Correct, correct. So we spoke about it just now. So yes, that's what
Hmm.
we call it burnout signs, when actually you realize that you don't have any life left. I mean, there is nothing that you're
Hmm.
looking forward to. It's just another
Hmm.
grind. I woke up. I'll wake up tomorrow again, get into the office. Then it will be late night by the time I come back, come home. So when you don't have anything to look forward to, then all the people around you, they are kind of unhappy that you are not giving them enough time. So these are the typical signs of burnout. So uh, and yes, that happens. And as we spoke some time back, the only way to
Hmm.
solve is that be efficient. You need to achieve whatever you are achieving. You have to just crash that time. I mean, whatever you do in office 12 hours, don't have to sit there for 12 hours. Crash it to 8 hours, whatever is your stipulated time, and achieve everything. I have seen so many of my colleagues in my career so far. They were so smart. I mean, there were a lot of pressures, social pressures, family pressures. Somehow they had to behave like that, and they
Hmm.
did it successfully. They had that so efficiently done, 8 hours, everything finished, and they used to just disappear. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what probably we have to pay attention to. That you achieve whatever you want to achieve in least possible time. I think that's the probably the only way to against the burnout.
Um, Another thing I want to ask you is, so there's obsession with loving what you do, or your passion or your calling. So uh, people waste a lot of time. Like this, some will be like, I know I won't do any other thing except the thing that I'm really passionate about, and they don't try to do other things as well. So they have this only one thing called, I'll only do what I love. I'll only do what I love. Do you think, like, how do you see that? People, like, they have this, internet culture that you have to only do what you love and everything. But the world doesn't work right that way, right? You have to do other things to support, what to eventually land what you love and what you do. So how do you see this culture, evolving these days? Like, how do you see it? Is it good or is it bad? What do you think about it?
Yeah, as you said just now, although it is a good thing to say and do, but it's not practical. I mean, you may wish to do something, but probably the situation around you is right now not supportive to that. So yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, there is no point in waiting for that moment. Okay, when that moment comes, then I'll act. So that doesn't make sense. You should always find, okay, what's next, and whatever finally makes sense to you, probably you should proceed with that. And
Hmm.
as you go on that path, you will find more and more options, and ultimately, probably you'll reach the thing that you want to do. So definitely, I will not advise that just wait for that moment when everything is signaling that that's the moment to act. So it shouldn't be that. As I said, I wanted to be civil engineer, but there was no job, so I became teacher. So I taught for 3 years in engineering college. So yeah, these kind of things happen. So although I like teaching, but anyway, sometimes the point is sometimes something you want to do that may not be available, so you have to take next best and go with it. So that will also take you to finally the your passion anyway. That's what I always say, that you may start somewhere, but if you keep working by whatever path, again you'll reach where actually you should be going. So yes, because that's your inclination, that's your passion, definitely you will get led to that destination. So but yeah, stopping is not the way. Let the path be crooked, whatever. uh, just allow yourself to move on that.
So people say that failure is the stepping stone to success. Without failing, you can't learn anything, and they say all these things about failure. But taking a taking a drastic fall on your face isn't something that many of them can overcome. They won't have the confidence in themselves after failing in a particular thing to continue. Keep continue on again, because we have this philosophy that failure will help you and all those things. But it's not it's not easy, right? To stand up again and to keep doing it again. Like, many are paralyzed by the fear. They become paranoid. If I do this, I'm going to fail, I'm going to lose everything. Like, how can we, like, develop the mindset to keep failing yet still keep trying again? Like, how do you think, what's the secret to that?
I keep talking about books all the time. So, uh, for definitely for some reason, because yeah, books have really changed our lives. Because the wisdom of those authors, which they spend decades and decades of research, they write in a small book. You read it, and you can gain all their 40 years of wisdom. So yeah, books are powerful. So one of the books by Ryan Holiday is "Obstacle is the Way." So that has a big
Hmm.
influence on me. So, uh, so many times people think that yeah, this is an obstacle, the failures or whatever we talk about. Actually, failure is the way. That's how we have to think. Let me explain this.
Hmm.
That book talks about it, and I have my own examples. I have seen that in my life all along. Let me take my example quickly. As I said, when I completed my engineering, I was hoping for a job in government department like roads and building construction and irrigation, and that's it. I mean, there were rosy picture that you just enjoy life, you get lots of money, and you don't have to do a lot of work. But I didn't get it. So I was so upset. Okay, eventually I studied and I wanted to get into Indian Railways as an engineer by UPSC. I did very well in written
Mm.
test, but at interview level, I couldn't score much and I didn't get that opportunity. I'll tell you, I was so upset. I was literally, it was like, now what do I do? There is nothing left now because that was the kind of only one dream. And I'll tell you,
Mm.
probably I didn't perform well in the interview just because I had that pressure. So that's another message.
Mm.
When you get too much into your head that this is the only thing in my life and I had to succeed, probably you just falter there. So you shouldn't do that ever. So, but any case, I failed there. And if I look back, I was upset for weeks. But if I look back,
Mm.
I thank God that I was not selected because otherwise I would have not got into the computers at all. I would have lived in that
Mm.
life of, and I really thank God for that because this life was much better. That when I got into computers and programming, I really enjoyed. I mean, that's the technology of today, and I got an opportunity. Everything happened just because I was not picked up by UPSC. So
Mm.
basically these obstacles make so easy because when there are all obstacles you find a narrow gap there and you just go there.
Mm.
Otherwise you have so many options, probably you may not, you will get confused, you will not really become indecisive about what to do next. When there are obstacles,
Mm.
probably something which leads you to that, and it really is powerful. I'll tell you very quickly two examples. Again, these are two authors. So one of the author is
Mm.
Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book on how to be a good salesman. Now he's a person
Mm.
who was always cheated by salesmen throughout his life. He was so frustrated that why people just put me finally into this situation. They just always people find me as a scapegoat. Now he did deep research in it. He did so good research that ultimately he wrote a book on how to be selling. So I mean,
Mm.
this is a great example of how obstacle itself gave him the way. He had some deficiency, and that itself became him expert in that field. There is other author,
Mm.
his name is, I think, James Nestor. Very recently, I read that book. He had some health
Mm.
issue. He just had breathing problems. Absolutely, he just cannot breathe. And I think he had some terminal illness as well because of that. But he went through a lot
Mm.
of medical procedures. But while doing that, he was reading about his breathing and all that. And eventually, he ended up writing a wonderful book on this whole breathing and how that affects human life and all that. So again, somebody would think that, oh, I have this breathing problem, and he will just droop and do nothing and curse everybody, God, and do nothing. But this guy just fought it.
Mm.
He kept that curiosity. He became that be proactive, that first habit. So he
Mm.
remained proactive. He just tried to solve it for himself and eventually became expert in that. So yeah, I think
Mm.
failures are really. I mean, as you said, it sometimes looks like this is some nonsense, but it is not. So think of failures and obstacles as your way. I mean, the whole universe is telling you, come on, this is not right for you. Look for something else. So
Mm.
it's you some guidance that, nah, don't worry about it. Find some other way. So I can tell from my example as I just gave you. I'm really happy, and that's what I keep telling people. Okay, some failure, fine, fine. Just keep moving, whatever direction you get it.
Mm.
Obstacle is actually helping you to find the right path.
Mm. So, like you've coached a lot of executives from C-level executives to managers to everybody. They are in constant meeting schedules, back-to-back emails and everything. Like what's the one advice that you give to them to reclaim their time without sacrificing their career goals?
Right. So yeah, we always talked about this being efficient about your time. So uh, I think I never gave any details on it, but let me say a few things here about that. So this whole thing about being efficient is that you need to know. See, this is that story of you must have heard about. You have a jar, few
Hmm.
rocks, few pebbles, and sand. Now, how do you, I mean, this quantity is big and you have to fill that quantity inside the jar. How to do that? So if you just randomly fill it, you will not be able to accommodate all the material into the jar. But there is a way to do it. What is that? You first put the rocks. Now you put the pebbles. Now the pebbles will get into the gaps between the rocks. Now you put the sand. It will get into the gaps between pebbles and rocks. And so this is what essentially we have to look at our day. Our day is a jar, and you need to put these rocks, pebbles, and sand so that basically continuous every space is utilized well. And to do that, essentially you need to have a list of your tasks. The way, if I don't give you all the rocks, pebbles, and sand, and if I ask you to fill it, then eventually I get you the rocks, pebbles, you will not be able to do a good job about it. So the idea here is that you need to have full inventory. Give me all the rocks, give me all the pebbles, give me all the sand. Now, okay, I'll fill it. So, so this is primary message that you need to have a proper inventory of what you want to do today, next week, next month. So you should have a good list, to-do list, what we call. You need to have a smart to-do list. A regular to-do list is a painful thing, but a smart to-do list you should have. Uh, Smart in the sense it is easily readable, easily usable. So that's what we need to do it. So I think that's what I would advise. So you see your point. I mean, the person is going back to back into meetings, unavoidable. You can't help. But when I come back to my desk after a marathon sessions of meetings, and now I have just 45 minutes left, and then I have to go back to home. Now this person is just, what do I do? I mean, okay, let me just go and have some chai or somewhere, and he may drain that time. But instead, I come back to my seat. I look at the list. I look at my to-do list. What was meant for today? Oh, nothing I could do. Oh, but looks like in this 45 minutes I can finish this interesting task. This seems priority also. This can fit in this remaining 45 minutes of the day as well. Now I do it. And that's it. Suddenly, out of that whole wasted day, that 45 minutes would make a big difference. So that's what I keep talking about efficiency by having a full inventory of your tasks.
Looking back at your career, whether as a space scientist or software scientist or productivity coach, what is that one piece of advice that you could, if you could go back in time, would give to your younger self?
Yeah, this is definitely a trick question, tough to answer. But uh, if I think of what I'm trying to learn today, probably I can get the answer. I mean, something which I'm still learning, something that I'm trying to acquire. Probably yes, I should have learned this long time back, and that is about probably networking. So you may not know this, but I'm a typical introvert person. So if you leave me in conference, probably I'll find a secluded corner and keep talking to one of my friends or just someone I find in the group who with whom I find it little friendly. So, so I'm
Hmm.
typically introvert. So probably that eventually I realized that probably I should have been taken some efforts to be little bit of extrovert. I always think that introvert is a stage. Everybody is introvert in some time of their life. So you have to probably um, become extrovert, talk to many people because uh, recently I'm reading that book again. Sorry. So
Yeah.
so the author talks about the social equity. So he thinks that uh, today's power is power of your network. I mean, we know this all along, but I think something that's the lesson probably I should have taken more seriously earlier. But anyway, better late than never. So I'm trying to be a little more active on social media, little more active in keeping in touch with friends, talking to them, joining gatherings. So I'm trying to just open up myself a little bit, which is against my inherent nature of being introvert. But I don't think it's so difficult to work out. So I'm trying on that. So I think that's something a lesson that I should have learned earlier.
So, see, I have this. This is something that I think it's very important for everybody to do. Like, like you have to network is your net worth, they say, right? So like for someone looking to, yeah, for someone looking to network, what are some of the mediums or some of the networking, to network, what are the things that they can do, you think? One thing is obviously social media, you can reach out to anyone, but I think networking done in person is more effective, isn't that so? So like what are some of the, like how can people network with people in real life? Like if you could give us your 2 cents about it.
Uh, there are lots of ideas, and which I obtained from one of the top books in the industry on this topic. So the name of the book is Never Eat Alone. So I have been I read that book and I'm trying to work on it. So essentially, and then I read that from earlier sources as well. But I think I'm centering finally my plan of action with this book. So essentially, this book talks about something called as the relationship action plan.
Mm-hmm.
So see, the problem is there is a small sapling. You just board a seed, and then there is a small sapling. And if you don't give enough water, nurture it, it's going to die. So that's what attitude we have to keep. As and when we meet new people, we have to keep in touch with them. Otherwise, you're just basically not doing a good job. So I think that's one of the big lessons of the book, that merely getting introduced to so many people is not enough, but actually maintaining. Probably you already have a good network. It's just that you are not keeping in touch with them. Then again, practically it is a
Mm-hmm.
useless. So there are lots of ideas there, like they call it 550-500 plan. Basically, you come up with 5 people with whom you want to be in touch almost every week. Then come up with 50 people with whom you want to be in touch every month at least, and then 500 with whom probably a year or so. And then people keep moving from 500 to 50, 50 to 5. So that goes on. So I think that's a common sense approach. But the point is, there is a system to it. You need to lay down the whole thing. It just cannot work in mind. So you need to. And actually, I'm working on that right now. And probably very soon I'll
Mm-hmm.
release one of my blog posts about the whole system. I'm trying to develop it on Google Contacts. So Google Contacts is a
Mm-hmm.
reasonably rich app to do this, to build this relationship action plan. Uh, so I'm using it right now myself, but I'm trying to perfect it, and then eventually probably I'll share with people through my
Mm-hmm.
blog.
Thanks for being on the show, Ravindra. It was pleasure having you. It was like loaded with knowledge and insights. Thank you so much, Ravindra. My pleasure. It was
Thank you,
pleasure.
Akash.